What's up, folks? This is Justin from Books, Bricks, and Boards. It was almost exactly a year ago that I shared my first video on Shadowdark with you. After having some time with it, getting to play it, getting to solo it, and getting to run it, I wonder, is it still worth delving into the Shadowdark a year later? Let's find out. Thanks for tuning in. If you like what you see and you want me to make more, please consider hitting the like button, subscribing, sharing, and commenting. If you want to check out free tools I've created for other games or talk games, check out my Discord, link in the description.
We're not worthy!
Lastly, if you want to say thank you and buy me a cup of coffee, consider hitting the super thanks button. With all that out of the way, let's get into the game. History of Shadowdark. In February of 2023, well within the depths of WotC's self-imposed OGL flagellation, there was a Kickstarter in the wilderness by little-known arcane library, headed by one Kelsey Dione. When I say headed by Kelsey Dione, I mean she is responsible for all writing, design, and layout on the project. The campaign was an enormous success, with over $1.3 million pledged and a very nice collection of system-related products to accompany the core rules. GM screen? Check. One of the best around. Adventures? Check. Several glorious one-pagers to keep groups coming back for months. Expanded content? Check. A series of zines with added classes, spells, monsters, hex crawls, and more, each with a theme tying the content together. So what was the pitch? Old school gaming modernized. Bold claim. And one already done by Dungeon Crawl Classics, Castles and Crusades, and Old School Essentials, just to name a few.
Anyone want to play Dungeons and Dragons for the next quadrillion years?
So what makes this a better option? I am by my very nature a skeptic, and bold claims require bold evidence to support them. I am not swayed by the movement of the masses, so I waited. I lurked in the forums, and I read the updates. By the time I decided I needed to buy this game, I had nearly waited too long.
I am never going to financially recover from this.
But by some good fortune, I saw the Arcane Library would have a limited number of books on their website for pre-order. As soon as they went live, I ordered one of everything. By the time it arrived, I'd already devoured the PDF and made designs on just how I'd use the game in the future. Since then, I've played the game in cons, ran solo plays, one on this channel, and used it in my home games with my youngest boy. Does it deliver what it promised? For me, it does. Now let me explain why. What's in the book? For those familiar with any edition of D&D, you will find a lot of familiarity here. Based upon which edition, some aspects may be more familiar than others. You have your standard 6 ability scores: Strength, Dexterity, Constitution, Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma. You'll have an armor class, Ascending if that is important to you, as well as hit points and ancestry, this game's term for race, a class, an alignment, and a level. All pretty standard D&D stuff, but where the game makes its hay is in the application. Take those ability scores. You get 3d6 down the line, and your ancestry does not improve them. Speaking of ancestries, they effectively provide one bonus special ability and a language, and no, Infravision is not one of those abilities. As in Shadowdark, only the monsters get to see in the dark. Classes sound familiar enough, with Fighter, Priest, Thief, and Wizard being the 4 options in the core rules, but on the table, these are not Grandpa Gary's classes. Hit points appear to match the appropriate Menser version of each class, but keep in mind, the con bonus is only applied at first level, so you'll have less hit points than you have grown accustomed to. Each class has its own special abilities, making them feel more iconic, but the real treat is the talent abilities. All classes have custom 2d6 talent tables that provide class-specific benefits with 5 different results on each table. There is some variety, as you get one at first level and another every other level afterwards. Keep in mind, these talents are the only way most characters, all but fighters, will increase their chances to hit, and again, they are random. Combined, this system provides opportunity for meaningful advancement while completely eliminating Munchkin play. For the spellcasters, They have more casting options and opportunities than most OSR caster choices. It's very similar to Dungeon Crawl Classics. They will make a spell check to cast each spell, and can continue to cast that spell as long as they don't fail a roll, in which case they have to wait until they rest again to use it. If they critically fail, i.e. roll a 1 on a d20, priests must pay penance to their deity to regain the spell, while wizards have a 1d12 mishap table to roll on, potentially causing chaos for the party. Both of these casting mechanics feel like a good simplification of the DCC casting mechanic, maintaining the swords and sorcery risk and reward whilst providing it on a single page. Brevity is the soul of wit, and Kelsey Dion has that in spades. The game takes the same approach to encumbrance, equipment, and combat, providing maximal impact with minimal mechanical overhead. One old school area often omitted, but fully present here, are the titles. Characters gain titles as they advance, with each level and alignment combination of a class having a unique title, like a 10th level neutral thief being a bandit king, or a 5th level lawful fighter being a knight. This is a great addition to keep players thoughtful of the world that they are playing in. They didn't meet an 8th level wizard, they met a diabolist. This book just drips with that old school verbiage and descriptive feel. Throughout the book, it makes clear that the adventuring party craves money and power, and the best place to find both is in the Shadowdark, which honestly seems to be a generic term for any dark place monsters dwell. Caves, ruins, dark woods, dungeons, etc. The Shadowdark is more a concept than a place, as it were. The mechanics include some greatest hits, like advantage and disadvantage, as well as critical hits doubling damage and critical fumbles making game masters cackle with glee. There's a bit of meta currency with the luck token, allowing a reroll given out as a reward for good roleplay. Ability checks replace a skill system, which is fine by me, simple and fast with room to fudge. An interesting new aspect, light is tracked in real time, so when an hour is up, that torch goes out. It's a nice way to add tension if you can keep players from checking their phones. Initiative is interesting as it makes seeding of players strategic. The winning initiative roll, a dex check, goes first, but turns then progress clockwise, potentially splitting the party's actions. Kelsey took some rolls out of the game. For example, searching is a matter of pointing the right way, not rolling well. Again, just another way to pull the players into the experience and speed up the game. Combat works as you'd expect. Meet or beat an AC with your roll to hit. Of course, with no strength bonus to damage, totals will be lower than expected. Healing is a bit generous, regaining all HP in a night's rest, but death is imminent as you get deep 4 plus con mod rounds to receive treatment once you hit 0 hit points. No continuous death saves in this game. The game's advancement system revolves around treasure-based XP, so literally, you loot tombs to gain levels. Sneaking in to get the dragon's treasure is almost always mechanically better than fighting the beast. Bilbo would be proud. The book provides ample optional rules for the GM, including the Gauntlet, which is the Shadowdark version of the DCC funnel, with 0 level heroes running through a meat grinder, and whoever survives becomes a level 1. The real gem is the GM section, where there are 73 pages of random tables for everything from random dungeon creation to tavern generation. I should note that these would be good fodder for any fantasy game, not only Shadowdark. These tables are followed by 71 pages of monsters with all your favorites there, and with a largely BECMI compatible stat block for conversion. And then there are 54 pages of treasure, before capping off with a beautifully simple character sheet and great end pages. The good and the bad. First, the good. Number 1, simplicity. This is a D20 system. It's familiar. The tropes are there. The terms that you know are there. 5-minute character creation, etc. This is a game that you can teach to players both old and new, and you're not going to have to waste an entire session doing it. If the player has played any D20 RPG, you can probably have them up and running fairly well in 5 minutes. If they're brand new to the game, no problem. Teaching through play is extremely effective in this style of a game. And I think that is really Kelsey's sweet spot, is she has distilled this game down to the essentials and you don't have rules bloat where you don't need it, where it doesn't add a significant benefit to the gameplay. So that is my number one. Number two, toolkit. These are some great tables. You can create adventures, NPC parties, encounters, random dungeons, die drop city creation, hex map creation that actually makes sense and it's actually tied to the prior hex, what's going to be in the next hex. The tables just drip with that old school feel. And these are something that you don't have to be playing Shadowdark to get use out of. I think that the toolkit overall is probably the second strongest of any product that I have ever owned, second only to those found in Knave 2nd edition. This is no knock because that book was amazing. Shadowdark has a fantastic system and it has those tools to work with. So the toolkit is definitely my number two. Number three, support. Kelsey's already released a series of 3 zines, several one-shot adventures. They're front and back. She's released her own solo mode. She's offered free downloadable character classes. She will be on YouTube frequently talking about ways to expand the game. And while I was sick, I found out that she is also releasing a new Kickstarter for the game that will presumably offer 3 more Cursed Scroll zines and expand the game in some very wonderful ways. I believe it's focused on the world this time, not the mechanics. I think that the world that exists in her zine is going to be turned into a campaign setting that will probably get a beautifully bound book like the one that you see before you here. Now the bad. Number one, same old, same old. This is still D20. You're still talking disadvantage and advantage. If you want a totally new experience, this ain't it. If you want something that's completely off the rails and different, you're going to have to go somewhere like Crown and Skull, or you could try my favorite, Suede. Now that's not to knock this system, it's just this is not as innovative as many people are going to want. It very much feels like BX and 5e had a offspring, and this was the result. Number two, black and white. The art's good, it's simple, but not splashy. Nothing in these pages is going to just grab you and say, I want that on my wall. That said, it's very serviceable, and it's probably better than 90% of the OSR art that was out there when we were learning the game. So again, not a big knock, but I'm looking for things that were less than perfect in my opinion, and that's my number two. Number three, no index. This is a big knock for me. Again, just like I said with Knave 2nd edition, if there was an index, that would help greatly with usability at the table, especially for those many, many tables in the middle of the book. This book, as you saw during the flip through, does not lay flat, and it's kind of hard to reference at the table if you don't know where you're going to. An index would have helped to clear that up somewhat and made the book that more usable at the game table. Now, just to give you a better idea of how the system works in play, I'm going to show you a quick character creation. So we're going to roll 3d6 down the line, we're going to randomly determine our race and class, and we'll go from there. So I got an 11 for strength. It's going to be no mod. And I got a 12 for dex. And a 13 for con. Wow, a 14 for intelligence. A 14 for wisdom. And a 7 for charisma. We're going to use the NPC random ancestry table to determine the ancestry. I got a 5, so going to be an elf. And we will determine the class with the class table from the rival crawlers. I got a 3, so an elven thief. We're going to start off level 1. We will even roll a rival name. I'm going to have to grab a d20 to do that, though. Got a 10 on the elf list. Arlomus. And then let's go back to the thief. And it is a thief, not a rogue. Get a d4 hit points. I'm going to get a +1 because of my con bonus. So I got 4 hit points total. I am going to get to roll once on the Thief Talents table. Got an 8, +2 to Strength, Dexterity, or Charisma stat. Well, let's make that Dexterity. And because I'm a thief, I get a backstab ability, I get thievery, and that's the whole deal. That is character creation. I'm going to roll for a background, but it doesn't have a real mechanical impact. I am going to make my thief neutral. And we'll see what a neutral first level thief is. So thief titles, neutral. I am a robber, which makes sense. Let's see if I've got... I'm not going to buy all my gear. You guys get the idea there. But that is as quick as it is to create a character in Shadowdark. So when one dies, you get out the old death stamp. It's not a big deal to have to go roll up another one. Summary. So about a year ago, I got my original copy of this game. Since then, I've ran it, soloed it, and played it at conventions. But what do I think of it? Despite all of its similarities to other more mainstream options, this game, more than any other recent offering, really captures the essence of old school gaming, and in a way that remains extremely accessible, fast, and most of all, fun. The best part of GaryCon last year was playing this game with a group and having some mindless monster bashing fun. Grab that favorite old module, roll up some characters, and make your way into the Shadowdark. It's worth the journey. But that's my opinion, and I'd love to hear yours. Was there a favorite bit I left out? Was there an area where they should have strayed more from the norm? Tell me about it in the comments. Until next time, this has been Justin from Books, Bricks, and Boards. Good gaming, and God bless.